Principal Secretary ITNGS, Dr. Nadu, CTO Department ITNGS, Mr. Robert Ravi. Thank you, sir. I now request Mr. Robert Ravi,
CEO, Geotrust Technologies. Through Shanmugam, VP Digital Banking. Again, about I'm a co-founder of Gardenlink and my role is to Chief Operating Officer of it. Thank you.
So, just as a context setting, I think this session is going to be not very technical. I think the session was planned as a way to, like Dr. Mithil said, there are two kinds of folks who are learning, trying to understand what Web3 is.
A mix of both. It's a mix of both. Right? There's a concept called sharding that makes storing efficient. Right? You don't want to store the same data everywhere. Right? You see, but anyways we need redundancy. Right? So adding to what Kamesh was saying, when you go for a centralized system, there is a requirement of a trust. Right? If that guy goes down, like whatever happened in FTX, right? The whole thing goes down. With decentralization, you kind of build redundancy. So if two of them are not there, right, still the data is going to be present, right? But to make it more efficient, we don't want to make the same copies everywhere, right? You make slight changes, right? 3 people store this copy, 3 people store some other data. You ensure that the redundancy is also there, it's also more efficient. So that sharding part is not yet completely implemented, right? It is in the, roadmap for a lot of these blockchain ecosystems. Okay. Slowly, right? At the age of 8 or 10, you take most of the decisions. At the age of 18, you let them make some decisions. At the age of 30, you no longer take the decisions for them, right? It is a phase, right? Even at certain level, parents will still take certain calls, right? So that's why I'm saying it's a phased evolution, right? World is going towards it. So people say, he rightly said it, right? The evolution of Dravidian economy also, we ask questions.
Which is a completely unorganized sector, and bringing Web3 there is an effort that we are putting in. So we use blockchain and NFT to make sure that there is data transparency.
Kana from Kana Labs is basically means a dream in Tamil actually. So it was always, though we have been around the blockchain space since 2014-15, it has always been a dream to build our own product, which we have been doing for the last 14 months now. What we are building is basically a DeFi, what we call as a super app, to solve the liquidity problem that is going to come when things begin to scale on the blockchain as such. So we work across multiple networks to ensure the smooth flow of liquidity across the multiple networks. And to top it all off, we are also working with the central bank in Norway to basically off-ramp or basically connect, bridge the cryptos onto digital currencies as such. So that is an ongoing project at this point of time.
Okay, great, Sandeep. Thanks for joining, man. We have a very, very excited crowd who wants to hear you speak. It's the Web3 community here in Chennai. It's the Web3 ecosystem builders here. And who else they would be happy to hear? None other than you, man. You
welcome to everyone.
Oh, wow. So, great. So, Sandeep, we started this session on a very, very philosophical note, where I said that Web3 is more of a philosophy, that we all have to discuss, talk, and, build things based on that, right? Now, a lot of people have different opinions about, what is Web3, what encompasses Web3, I will ask this to you, Sandeep, what is Web3, what is being built, where it is going.
Yeah. So, before going into what is Web3, we should actually ask ourselves why Web3, right? It can be a very fancy thing, but why do we even need it, right? So, to understand that, I think we have to go a little bit in the history of humanity, right? So, run these organizations. Right. For example, bank. So in DeFi, as we say, like there are multiple banks like Aave and Compound who have billions of dollars from people's money, and at exactly what exactly a bank does. A bank actually takes money from you. You lend into the bank, and bank basically you give money to the bank, and bank lends it to the borrowers and makes some return, and then passes on some part of the return to you and keeps some percentage of the return, right? That is, in that scenario, the fees can be very, very low. The cut that the drivers have to pay, the drivers will have a more say into this thing. So basically, it's like what I was saying, that from going from king ruled districts to the democratized institutions. Similarly, we are doing what democracy did to the nations. Web3 is trying to do to the businesses. Like running businesses in a more decentralized and community-owned way is what is Web3.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Abhi. I think applause for Sandeep. Thank you.
Have come up with fast-track issuance when big banks were still trying to build it. Now every bank issues, that's a different story, but we were one of the early runners. We had a tab-based onboarding. Like I said, we wanted to make sure we deliver banking to the last mile person. So which means people who may not even have an Aadhaar card. We help them get an Aadhaar. We help them understand why a bank account is essential. And how do I do that? I do it at his doorstep. And that was the first initiative on tab. We had our corporate internet banking launched. Money anymore. No physical currency. Everything is on QR. So we were a little ahead in the years. 2020, even before pandemic hit across the globe, we wanted to provide digitally how we could enable the last mile to open an account, right? So we call our product suite as Selfie. So Selfie comes in savings account as well as in FASTag. So where within under 5 minutes you're able to open a savings account with zero balance. We launched CRMs, which are basically cash recyclers. All of us go to an ATM. Most of the times ATMs are out of cash. All our missions are cash recyclers, where somebody comes and deposits the money, and the same money comes for the next person to withdraw. So this way, your cash outs are very lesser. They're more expensive, but the intention for us is to serve the public, and that's the reason why we went with cash recyclers instead of an ATM. Offerings. I think I covered most of it on the journey slide, so I'm not repeating it again. So whatever is there in today in financial sector, we are there as an offering digitally on your internet and mobile banking. And similarly, we've got the omni-channel presence for servicing customers on account opening and for servicing on transactions. Kids, minor accounts, minor people less than 18-year-old, mass affluent regular customers. We've got affluent segment with Wings. Elite is our high affluent Chennai customer variant. We've got a fixed deposit and recurring deposits. We call it as fund tenure, 888 days. You can check our website. We're one of the good banks that pay a lot of interest. So you can definitely check that. Series of current account in the same fashion, depending on your industry segment and size.
சாயந்தரம் 6 மணிக்கு வீட்டுக்கு வருவேன். என்னோட ஆசை, என்னோட சந்தோஷம், மொத்த உலகமும் என் பொண்ணு தெரிய மட்டும்தான். வீட்டை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அந்த அம்மா தான் ராணி, நான் ராஜா. நீங்க வந்து இருப்பீங்களா, உங்களுக்கு எல்லா விதத்திலயும் நாங்க ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவோம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. சரி, இப்படியாவது போயிடலாமே, இந்த ரோட்ல இருக்கிறதுக்கு இப்படியாவது போயிட்டு கொஞ்சம் முன்னேறி பார்க்கலாமே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு வந்தேன். வேலைக்கு ஒரு இடம்
as an enabler we were discussing in the morning, there are I think 2-3 critical foundations which is already being doing. One among them is NFT, blockchain, BrainNet, etc. The NFT platform, as we were discussing, the technology is there. The technology of NFT has grown.
When a software engineer makes a software and goes and sells, there's no problem. This is my rate. This is the hours I put inside. This is my remuneration. They have something like this. We don't have any kind of a standard thing for art for an artist to go and say. It's like mostly like gambling. So if someone likes, someone picks it up. So imagine the thing of writers. Most of you would have visited book fairs where we have a lot of writers, short story writers, novel writers coming and putting their books, like one among like 2 or 3.
Perspective, because I've been a performer since childhood. So I started performing when I was 11 years old. And I have always been, Tamil solvanga, kaila kaasu vaayila dosa. We perform, we get the money, that day is done. Next day we perform. And I've been associated with a lot of folk musicians around in Tamil Nadu, and not just folk musicians, contemporary artists. And I have.
I request the team who will be joining the Zoom to continue to wait till the next pieces where we are going to have a complete demonstration of the platform. Once again, thank you.
I am a 15-year-old digital artist from Chennai, to be like very specific. I work in the interdisciplinary field of art and tech. All of this started around 2 years ago, back in the pandemic, when schools were online and we were all at our houses, fully panicking, and that's when I had like 3 to 4 hours of online class. Like the rest of the day would be mine to the fullest. I would be completely free the entire time. So I was like, okay, why don't I, do something? Why don't I try something new that represent our creative mind, like how our mind processes information or something. When we look at a colorful image, how does our brain perceives that image, and all of those kind of data sets, that those are points, are inbuilt into this work as values to make them into an animation that represents these artworks. So basically they are representative works of data sets. Where you can go and I think they got out the video. So that work basically is connected to a Twitter poll that where anyone could go and poll on that Twitter, and from the data, the very data from that Twitter poll would be connected to the work, and the work would change according to the people's emotion. So it's like a representation of emotion, and that was also done during the pandemic to give a bit of support and encouragement. Putting this here today was in fact to point out the fact that even if we are all over the globe, even if we exactly can't make it to this very event, I had my social exam today, I had to bump that and come for this today. Even if we cannot make it, you could all join through a metaverse, or conferences in the very future could be on the metaverse, where we could go there and connect and have events or talk, or basically have a parallel alternative life there. So you could just go there and say hi to the folks here itself. So just go join as guests and have fun. Thank you so much.
Is the key concept that we are building in order to bring in traceability for waste management. So now you might wonder why we need traceability for waste management. So let me tell you a quick story here. So we all use the water bottles and so many things in our life, especially the packaging item, but we usually have a tendency to throw them away. But we are paying it for them. We all literally pay for them, but we don't care even if it is like charged. We still throw it away, and that is causing a major problem across the globe. So let's get on to the slides so I can start explaining how we are building this tech on waste management. So, like already we said, like less than 10% of the plastics are majorly recycled. Rest all is not considered for recycling. We say that we are into the waste management industry. It is a very boring subject and which everyone ignore it. So we don't want to ignore that first. So we wanted to bring an attention. So the attention grabbing came from the NFT. So each NFT that we issue, it is being pegged with a pin which handles the waste collection. So here we have done a little bit of tokenization part where we wanted to tokenize the entire ecosystem where each and every waste. So Web3 is basically about owning the things. So now the waste products that you generate as an individual in your life, say it's 800 to 100, 1 kg of waste every day. So every individual generate that. So if you kind of know that out of which there are few items which can be thrown out separately and that can actually pay you some rewards. E-waste. So there are different types of meta bins that will be launched soon. So our mission is like mission million dustbins across India to bring in a more number of people disposing it off correctly and encouraging them to recycle it. Gist of it. So waste generators are generally the people who manufacture a lot of products like in the marketplace which can be redeemed through our system. So this is what we wanted to implement, and by implementing this solution we should be able to achieve a lot of sustainable goals.
Happy to stand in front of you, the Web3 community. So we are from TokenCon, and here I am going to talk about our upcoming marketplace launch, which is in talk. So for everything entertainment. So we are much focused only on the entertainment NFTs and through our partnered celebrities. Just to connect celebrities, artists and fans across the world. And like other platforms have, we also have the fixed price NFTs and features for auction and bidding. And yeah, so we have the NFTs, the NFT drops built completely on the celebrity videos, exclusive kind of interviews given only for our platforms. And we have partnered with concert organizers and event organizers, the largest community worldwide, and we are a single marketplace. So other than this, the next slide will be talking about only the industries we are focusing on. And we have a fantastic solution implemented in the marketplace which will be benefiting for the users and collectors.
We're trying to implement blockchain on traditional wood carvings based on temple walls of South India. And at present there are many master craftsmen left, and we are actually using a few techniques. Like sometimes we actually make a hole right on back of the artifact and use resin and alcohol ink to create unique patterns. I would call it, it would be similar to back in the days when we were in school, we used fountain pens to make a few drops in a piece of paper, fold it and open it. You get a unique piece of an art. So when you use resin and alcohol ink, you actually get something so unique it cannot be replicated. And when we are actually making one of these, we are applying it at the back of it, And when we actually make the second one, we cannot, even if we try, we won't be able to replicate the same pattern. So the second one can be considered as a second edition. So that's what we do. These are some of the work that we've done, and I would say that there are many master craftsmen who can actually build these. Back in the days, like around 200 years ago, there wasn't even a single house, Chettinad house without these. But even if we want to, even if we have the money to afford this, we don't have craftsmen, and it's going to take a very long time before you could actually craft something like this. And going to the next slide, I would also like to say that these things are already non-fungible. Even before the term non-fungibles actually existed, NFTs existed, these things were considered non-fungible because of the craftsmanship. They were so dedicated, and they had to they were not formally educated and they had always been in the craft for such a long time. So that's how they actually mastered the skill. And we actually tried to trace some of the artifacts from international auction houses. We found quite a few artifacts, but most of the time we were not able to trace the origin because those artifacts were acquired after demolition of a Chettinad house or some traditional house across India. And a piece of it is being cut off and is being sold off as an artifact or being auctioned off at major auction houses. So by implementing blockchain along with the name of the artisans, for something like this, it's actually a service. So NFTs can also be provided as a service. And there would be at least 5 to 8 artisans involved in creating such a masterpiece. So everyone would be able to register their name on a blockchain and also say that we can trace the origins, and if there is going to be royalties, it has to be split among all the craftsmen who actually worked or according to the work they actually done. So the next one, please. Yeah, this is an example of the pattern that I was talking about earlier that was used with acrylic and resin. So this is the actual piece that we actually created, and this was a copy. We can actually spot the difference. So we're also using blockchain to prevent, copying and counterfeits. So we are also planning to add the blueprint, because the blueprint is the actual crucial part in creating such an artifact. So we're actually planning to view it as an unlockable content, and hope things could actually work out. Maybe in the future, if someone else wants to know about how it was done, and a blueprint would actually be helpful. By doing this, we can preserve the heritage, the skills, and everything that was passed on by our ancestors. A lot of skills that's supposed to reach out to the global audience. And these are some of the artifacts again. So most of the time, we are not actually being verified as an artist because physical NFT and NFTs that can actually be used in our daily lives, that you can touch, feel, and use, are not a common thing these days. So this is just the initial stage, and maybe in the future we may actually find a lot of other traditional handcrafters and handloomers joining in. And thank you so much.
Thank you. That's really wonderful. Issue with my laptop, so that's the reason I'm sitting here and giving the demonstration. Basically, this is about creating your own NFT platform without any coding knowledge. So the platform is called NFTify, where I used to work with as a country head for the India, under which close to we have grown the community to 40,000 people, and we also onboarded a lot of artists, onto the platform to create their own NFT platform. For example, any artist is here who would like to bring. So Laya was talking about she was using OpenSea Foundation kind of platforms to sell her NFT. That's what she mentioned in the last session. So if you would like to set up your own NFT platform without having any coding knowledge, this platform helps you. So as an artist, you may not be aware of how to create a platform of your own. So this platform, Twitter or any other social media platform, will start selling it. And this also enables the economic transactions also. This is very easy platform, which within 10 to 15 minutes you can create your own platform and start using it and start sharing to your targeted audience. I'll just walk through you so that you can try it at home. This is the first landing page, and then try to log in here with your own credentials. Otherwise, you can register yourself. See, as you see there, Milky is one of the artists in Hyderabad who created his own platform like this. So end of the day, that artist called Shivaram Krishna will get a website called milky.nftify.network. In the browser at the top address, you can see milky.nftify.network. Tomorrow, as an artist, let's say Srinath would like to create his own NFT store like this. Then I'll say srinath.nftify.network. Of course, subject to availability on the name. Okay. Now, close to 325 BUSD, which is close to $1 each. Each BUSD is $1. Okay, close to. And then his price is this, and he has to give some description and all to attract the buyers. Ethereum, Polygon, Cardano, which is in the beta mode. You can choose the one whichever you would like to have, and then you register. The moment you do that, you need to connect the wallet, which is already connected. This is the browser-based wallet which I have already installed. MetaMask, if you see on the top right corner here. Okay, that's already installed in my. Now, before you upload, you should ask yourself under which category your work actually falls under. Okay, this is my MetaMask. Now, if you are uploading artwork, it could be sculpture or art, digital art, or if you would like to upload your cards or collectibles or domain names. So there are multiple ways of uploading an NFT. So choose one which is a good app for you, or if you are working with more options also, it's fine. Now do the other work like create your own logo, upload it to the site. So end of the day, the objective is to bring something like this.
I'd like to begin this discussion on encouraging the Web3 ecosystem. What are the policies? How do we work on it? And also from the front of academic curriculum, how do we work on things? Now, first I would like to invite Mr. Rapolas Lucretius to take the to start this session. So I'll give a quick introduction about him. Mr. Rapolas is Policy Officer at the Directorate General for Communication Networks, Content and Technology of the European Commission. His work responsibilities are mainly focused on blockchain standardization. Previously, Rapolas worked with European Research Framework, HEDS 2020 FP7, and broadband internet policies. Prior to joining the European Commission, Rapolas worked with credit risk analysis at SEB Bank in Vilnius and as a consultant preparing economic and financial feasibility studies for the EU funding. Rapolas holds a master's degree in economics from Vilnius University. Thank you, Mr. Rapolas, for
basically all European member states, Norway and Liechtenstein, to work with blockchain applications. And in there, basically, an important use case, they have 7 use cases, but I would like to highlight precisely self-sovereign identity use case, which is afterwards used for educational credentials. So that is, in a way, very nice use case. And what is importantly here is that precisely it gives this identity part to we have the rolling plan for standardization, which is an overview of ongoing activities of a number of sectors. In there we have blockchain included. Actually, there's a separate chapter of blockchain, and it's also covered in some other chapters like sustainability or identity. So it's
how the slides came, I'm not sure. So anyway, just a minute about myself. I'm John Augustine. I'm a faculty member at IIT Madras. I work on distributed computing, and that's how I got interested in blockchains. And so this puts me in a unique perspective on how we can allow blockchains and the Web3 platforms and things like that to really influence society as a whole. My disruption because of Web 3.0, we have new forms of digital assets. The artists are picking up the baton and creating new content and using Web3. technology for their work. Sorry, can you go back? Did I miss? Yeah, this is so. I guess the other issue is scale. When we have to have some principled way to think about our school curriculum. Oh, that's only a few people. Okay. How many of you do know? Maybe this is the right question. How many of you do know how blockchains work? Okay, good. So that's very good. Technology, but rather just questions that we can ask. Can we design new kinds of markets? Because this whole decentralized markets, I'm talking about economic theory and market design. It's disrupting those areas as well. Where it could potentially influence a larger part of the society. So there's a lot happening. The only thing to know about academic settings is that it's not a hierarchical setting. The director does not control what I do, and so
we are facing now. Mr. Sridhar, what do you think are the biggest challenges that the Web3 ecosystem is facing and is going to face when we are talking about all these products here?
Yeah, firstly, this was working now. Yeah. Firstly, thank you organizers for looking at this interesting this thing. So where you locate it also is important, and today we don't have the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure to house our own data in India, foundationally. So what are we talking of? Where is the protection if the data is sitting in United States or wherever? How do I protect it? So therefore the foundation is around the infrastructure that has to be built. We are seeing a lot of data centers coming through, and NPCI thankfully has come to Chennai. They are looking at their own data center. So all these data center infrastructure is the first thing. So Tamil Nadu government should first look at putting that infrastructure in place, then looking at policy to make sure that that policy protects data of the residents of the state. If the law of center is not sufficient enough. And those are foundational. So this is what I would think is very, very important in policy. The horse. So the way the government has kind of played this out is that whether it is legitimate or illegitimate, we don't care. We want to tax it certainly. And that is also true. Death and tax is inevitable. And therefore you need to, and even gods pay tax in India. So in that sense, there is no way you can escape a tax.
Discussions with the government so that we achieve the objective of building a stronger Web3 ecosystem and a stronger Web3 brand for Chennai. Thank you guys. Thank you once again for coming. Thanks a lot.